I think the dominant force is definitely the slowdown, obviously very much conditioned by whatever happens on international trade policies, and slower growth is detrimental, obviously, for the global economy and for our industry. Somewhat offsetting that, we have the lower oil prices that cuts those costs for airlines in a positive way, but maybe, as you said, not by as much as the whole drop in crude oil prices, because the jet fuel that we buy is still a bit more expensive than obviously the crude oil prices. But demand is still very strong. We're projecting a 5.8% increase in passenger travel, RPKs, as we say, revenue per passenger kilometers, and that's a pretty healthy clip still at 5.8%. And then we have another double-edged sword, which is the capacity constraints. So we estimate that the industry is short of some 5,400 aircraft, and that it will take 3 to 5 years to sort that situation out. And this is before we're talking about any impact of tariffs on the potential supply chain of aircraft. So clearly we are capacity constrained. So in spite of all of those negative and a few positives, the industry is still eking out a little bit more profit net than last year. So $36 billion for the industry as a whole, equating to 3.7% net profit margin, and that's also a touch better than in 2024. I think if the world and the governments around the globe were to really integrate the fact that aviation airlines do not only contribute to GDP growth, they actually have the capacity to also accelerate that GDP growth by helping virtually all other industries in the global economy. And if we see airlines and air transportation as a growth accelerator, then I believe that it will be so much easier to motivate everybody to take the necessary steps to make this actually a success. If you allow fragmentation, then you allow different regions of the world to have different outcomes. And this is also very hard to defend, right? That we have somehow allowed Africa to be the place where air transportation is not gaining traction, way below its size of its population, way below the economic possibilities, and the whole continent is being held back as a result. So clearly that's a stark illustration of what happens when there's too much fragmentation.